Everything you need to get your day started.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. This is America's Dream Team.
David and Friends, weekdays on WTYM, Katanning.
1380 AM, FM 103.7 WTYM. Glad to have you with us this morning on the ride, 17 past the hour. So we're going to talk to somebody right now. He happens to be a Newcastle-based social worker. He's employed by the Vocational and Psychological Services. He's earned a bachelor's degree from George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. He's currently pursuing a master's in social work at Youngstown State University. For the past 3 years, he's been the instructor of something called Project Educate. It's a parent-family engagement program for students 14 to 21 that have disabilities. So this person has scheduled workshops on transition topics for students and their families in Armstrong County, which is why we're talking today with Ivan Jagersky. Good morning, Ivan.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this. You've scheduled these workshops. Get me into this. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Project Educate, we're funded by Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. And the thinking behind it is that for the past few years, the PA Office of Vocational Rehabilitation has started working with students 14 to 21. Previously, they worked with 18 and older. So in addition to working with students 14 to 21 who have disabilities, with their career choices or their education choices, there's a lot of soft skills and just, associated stuff when it comes to getting a job that's more than just, going and getting a job. So what we do is we do these workshops. We do them once a month in Katanning. We do them throughout the year, and we put them on with various transition topics that will help the students and the families to make a more informed transition. So it can be anything from soft skills for employment to different funding resources that are available, different programs at universities, etc. The one that we're doing coming up, specifically on the 8th of January here, Tuesday, this one's going to be about money management. So, again, the topics are for the students and the parents. We like them to come together, so they can learn together. And we're going to have a presenter from the Armstrong Associates Federal Credit Union, which is in Armstrong County. She's going to talk about how to create and use a personal budget. She's going to talk about the importance of saving, which is a really interesting topic right now for students with disabilities, because previously students, I should say anybody who was receiving SSDI or SSI or something like that, they had a cap on how much money they could save, and that has changed. There's something now called an ABLE savings account, where they're able to save pretty much like any other, member of the population. And so we're going to learn a little bit about that. We're going to learn about, how to responsibly use credit cards or debit cards, etc. And also, too, one of the things she'll talk about is how to be safe with your money, especially with online transactions.
This sounds like a really important thing, especially for those that have disabilities. Now, let's kind of can we kind of typify who these people? I mean, I'm sure they would know, but for the general public, how do we know someone qualifies for this program?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question too, because so with Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, they, quote unquote disability that prevents them from working or makes it a challenge for them to work. So therefore, we have a pretty broad understanding of what qualifies as a disability. So a lot of times people might not even identify as having a disability. They might not realize that these programs are available to them. But for example, any student who has a 504 plan or an IEP, any kind of diagnosis, like a medical diagnosis, a mental illness diagnosis, an autism diagnosis, if they are receiving emotional or learning support in school, pretty much any transition challenge. So it's pretty broadly defined, like I said. If you are a student or the parent of a student or even the grandparent or family member of a student who's having, challenges because of reasons like this or similar reasons, you're more than welcome to come to our event. We don't, ask for any kind of documentation at the door. Our participants self-identify. So again, if you're an Armstrong County student, 14 to 21, or their parent or family member, and you're someone who, like I said, has an IEP 504, emotional learning support, any kind of diagnosis, or any kind of challenges that make it difficult to learn or maybe start working, you're more than welcome to come, and we can talk in more detail there about what services might be pertinent. But again, like I said, it's a pretty broad definition. And the idea, again, is to make sure that this population has the information they need, both the students and the parents, to make a successful transition.
Okay, so this is coming up on Tuesday, January the 8th, correct?
Correct, yeah. And we have another one coming up next month. We do one each month in Katanning. We're scheduled right now through May, and we're funded through September. So we're definitely going to be there every month. The other thing, too, is we have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/VPS Project Educate. And all of our events, we post them on there about a month in advance. If anyone has any questions, that's a really good way to get in touch with us. And one thing I do want to mention as well is that our topics are kind of user-driven. So if there's any topics that anyone listening right now, there's something that I need to know more about or my student needs to know more about, they could reach out to us, and then when we plan future events, we can make sure those topics get represented as well.
Okay, so you can go to Facebook, and you can go to V as in Victor, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, VPS Project Educate, and you can find out more about the entire program and what they're going to be having in the next few months as it comes along and comes down the pike. So I'm talking with Ivan Jagersky this morning, and he's trying to help us out here a little bit. So again, if someone wants to sign up, how do they do that?
You just have to walk in. We have an RSVP number. That is 724-841-9711. So if anyone wants to call and make an RSVP, they can do that. But again, it's not like a hard and fast rule. I just like to have a general idea of how many people will be in attendance because we always, provide food and beverages for the attendees, especially because a lot of times we do our events around 6 p.m. And I know that's a tough time of the day because you have to choose maybe between having dinner for your family or coming to our workshop. So we do them at local restaurants. These are going to be at the Craft House in Katanning. And like I said, we always provide food and drinks there. But yeah, if someone wants to just show up, if you're not sure if you're going to make it and then you decide last minute, hey, we're coming, that's perfectly fine. They could RSVP, like I said, via Facebook or through that phone number as well. But like I said, it's hard and fast. So if anybody decides they want to just show up, more than welcome to.
How many do you expect to show up?
So we have events that maybe get 3 people sometimes, and other times we have 20 people. Really depends on the topic.
Okay. Well, there you go. So something that's happening that may be pertinent to you and your family. Ivan Jagersky, thanks so much for being my friend this morning. It's 25 past the hour. We'll be right back right after this. Stay with us. David and Friends on the air, WTYM.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, and many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-259-8870. 800-259-8870. 800-259-8870.
How's that New Year's resolution coming to listen to only this station?
I've got it on you guys all day long.
Good. Just checking. Radio for your neighborhood. WTYM.